Happy Tuesday morning, everybody. Welcome into Morning JOX. Conrad Van Order and Damian Mitchell here with you for the next hour. So our first show of the week. So appreciate you bearing with us yesterday, as it was a little sketchy in the morning for weather-wise, as I know it was for many of you. So we decided to err on the side of caution, and we are here with you today. So we hope each and every one of you was able to stay safe, and now just dealing with the bitter cold that we currently have. I am looking at a temperature reading right now that says 14 degrees. I would say that's erring on the side of optimism.
It's that wind chill. That's what gets us. That's the wind chill is probably in the single digits. I'd say it's probably about 4 or 5.
Yeah, it's brutal. It's not fun.
Not at all.
No, it's not enjoyable at all. So if you have to get up early and get out and about, start your day like we do, make sure you're nice and bundled up. But it will warm up a little bit today. It is expected to get up to 40 sometime this afternoon, maybe around 2 o'clock, something like that. But yeah, I mean, up until around lunchtime, it's going to be below freezing this morning. And again, it's under 20 right now. And as Damien just told you, it feels like it's about 5 outside. So going to be another wonderful, very chilly day here across the state of Alabama. But we appreciate you making us a part of your day each and every morning here on the show. So we would love to hear from you, have you chime into the program, 205-834-9450 on the Courtesy GMC text line. And I'm sure what we're going to start off with here will certainly get some reaction from people. And I'm sure a lot of people maybe not necessarily surprised that this is the way that things are going, but we weren't here yesterday, and so we did, not to go back and necessarily recap everything from the weekend here on a Tuesday, but something we were all excited for is a good weekend of SEC hoops. Auburn went and got a big win, Stephen Pearl's biggest win, their first win in 30 years in Gainesville. Absolutely fantastic moment there for the Auburn Tigers. But you also had Alabama. They were in action against Tennessee, and they fell to Tennessee for the 5th straight time. And so typically, Alabama losing to Tennessee in basketball, it's disappointing, but it's not like a major headline or anything like that. But it is when you have a former professional that you bring back onto your roster in Charles Bediako, which is exactly what happened. And I thought he played pretty well on Saturday. Certainly need more than 3 rebounds from that guy when he's on the floor. But in terms of a first game back, seemed like he fit the system. It's almost like he played in it before. So all of that stuff worked out great. But when we left you last week, we were talking about how he got a temporary restraining order, which would allow him for 10 days essentially to be eligible. And then he was going to have a court hearing today in Tuscaloosa that was ultimately going to, I guess help determine, is he going to be able to play the rest of the season, or was this just kind of a one weekend fun little side note that we'll talk about, 30 years from now in the history of Alabama athletics. Well, because we've all been dealing with this weather, funny enough how this works, the hearing that was scheduled for today had to be rescheduled because of weather concerns. And so that gives a 10-day extension to the TRO, which means Charles Bediako will officially be eligible to play tonight against Missouri.
Keeps on going.
Does this surprise anybody?
Not at all. Not at all. Yeah, I mean, you can say it's weather. I mean, there are some other things that I'm pretty sure we're going to discuss as well as dealing with that case, but it wasn't going to be a one-game rental. I had a feeling that this was going to he was going to find himself in an Alabama uniform for a little bit longer.
Yeah, so according to reports, or based on the court filing, they had a preliminary injunction scheduled for today. It got delayed because of weather issues. And because of this, it says that both parties had a virtual status conference. I'm guessing that means a Zoom yesterday because one of the NCAA's attorneys was unable to attend the hearing because of travel conditions caused by the weather. So this was not it's really cold outside, so can we delay this type of thing? It was actually the NCAA, one of their attorneys not being able to travel to make it to the hearing. So because of that, it will get pushed back to next week, and we will just kind of have to wait and see how it plays out. But certainly for tonight in the Alabama-Missouri game, that is something that works in the favor of the Crimson Tide. So we will we'll keep you up to date on all of that and let you know when it's been rescheduled and this, that, and the other. But certainly a funny side note in this whole story that now you can imagine where people will go with the jokes of this. And again, I don't think it's a huge surprise to anybody, but it is what it is. The other funny part of this is that while this is being taken care of, I guess on the local side, you also have on a more national scale, the NCAA, they are trying, to pull whatever weight that they have left, Damian. And so yesterday they filed a motion asking that the judge, who we discussed last week, who is a donor to the University of Alabama, the NCAA has filed a motion asking that he recuse himself from the case and from representing, or I guess being the one to make the decision on Charles Bediako.
Yeah, it seemed like a conflict of interest.
Something tells me they will be able to find another judge that, however loose, has some sort of an affiliation or a fandom.
Yeah, of course.
For the Alabama Crimson Tide. So, again, it's just funny. I understand from the standpoint of, oh, well, it's kind of petty that Alabama went and found somebody that's in their court. First off, every school does that when they're in this type of a situation.
Exactly.
They go and find somebody that went to your school or really, really loves your football team. It's not hard to find. But it is just, again, it's the NCAA being like, well, I guess we can't technically stop it, but it'd be cool if like you wanted to get a different judge, that'd be nice. It might make it look better, but
you working what you got. It was like, oh, these are the only judges that we have over here. Okay, I like this one. But NCAA, of course,
yeah,
has to stick their nose and everything.
Yep.
But like that really makes that big of a difference. You're also in Tuscaloosa, Alabama. It's gonna be pretty difficult to try to find somebody that doesn't have any ties to the University of Alabama. But there's a reason why I'm not in the judicial system. I'm here on the microphone talking ball.
That is absolutely correct. So the full hearing will be set at a later date. We'll let you know when that's going to be. But I guess the good news, at least if you are on the Charles Bediako side of this case, as that in the I guess the 10-day extension that he has now been awarded because they had to delay the hearing. According to the NCAA, they agreed that there exists good cause to extend the TRO. So I guess that at least my interpretation of that would mean that they think that there's some sort of a case, right? It's not just like, he's ineligible and we're just letting you have fun and you go play with him for 10 days and then we'll take him away. But I guess they're agreeing that there is some sort of that would just lead me to believe that it feels like he's probably going to be able to play the rest of the year. Because otherwise it seems like you would be pretty clear that this was a home run case for the NCAA and like there's no chance they're going to.
Right.
That doesn't seem to be the case.
I feel like they would have moved with a little bit more swiftness if there was
perhaps
if there were really some legs to it. I think this is kind of one of those things where in hindsight, maybe it may not make the perfect sense, but within the quote unquote rules or not rules, they're not doing anything wrong. So I think that if there was any issue with it, the NCAA would have tried to speed up this process, especially in a situation like this where you're asking a judge to recuse himself. They would have an immediate just kind of replacement, I guess you'd say.
Mm-hmm.
But the further they kick this can down the road, the more Charles Bediako's like, all right, I guess, until we find out otherwise, I'm going to be playing. So I think that this whole situation could have been avoided if the NCAA actually had real guidelines and stuck to them as far as eligibility. But if we find ourselves in this situation, then there ain't nothing we can really do about it at this point.
Well, if you find yourself wanting to watch the next installment of the Charles Bediako experience at Alabama, you'll get that chance tonight because they are hosting Missouri at 7 o'clock on the SEC network. So that game got moved up a little bit. It was going to be a later tip. Now it's at 7 o'clock, and you can catch that on the SEC network. I know some of you, even through the cold, will probably be heading down to Coleman to take that one in tonight. But Alabama, a 10.5-point favorite over Missouri as it stands right now. Looks like Aiden Holloway will return for Alabama tonight, so that'll certainly help them out. But it does look like Amari Allen, he was still listed as doubtful on the injury report, so we'll see if he gets any closer to that today. But certainly good having Aiden Holloway back and hopefully Amari Allen just another game or two away from returning there for the Crimson Tide. You have two other games tonight in Southeastern Conference play. You got Arkansas at Oklahoma. there at 6 o'clock tip on ESPN. Oklahoma desperately needs a big win because it's been a very, very rough start to conference play for them. Then you have Alabama, Missouri at 7, and then at 8 o'clock, Kentucky at Vanderbilt. That should be a good one. Vanderbilt a 6.5 point favorite there at home later tonight. Tomorrow, Auburn will be back in action, so they're not playing today. They're playing tomorrow. They'll be taking on the Texas Longhorns. But today, coming up, I know he was on Mac and Cube recently. He will be on three-man front at 10:30 this morning. That will be Stephen Pearl, the head coach of the Auburn Tigers. So obviously get his thoughts on the big win in Gainesville, kind of how his team's shaping up now that we're a good bit of the way through SEC play, and maybe even get some more of his thoughts because I thought he had some very interesting comments when he was on Mac and Cube about the Bediako situation. So we'll see if he's changed his mind on that. But that's coming up today at 10:30 on three-man front. So you can definitely make a point to be there with us today. So that's your SEC basketball kind of roundup, look ahead what's going on tonight. And, of course, your update on the Charles Bediako situation, which we will continue to follow here across all the shows on JOX. But we do have some college football news going on. Some big news from the weekend that I do want to spend some time on is, if you're an Alabama fan, a particular position coach that many of you were not fond of is no longer there. And we believe we know who the replacement is. And so we'll tell you what's next for the offensive line of the Crimson Tide. How much better can that group be in 2026? They're going to need them to be better. There's no doubt about it. We'll break all that down for you right here next on JOX. 6:17 here on your Tuesday morning, Morning JOX. Conrad and Damian here with you until 7 o'clock when we hand you off to McElroy and Kublik in the morning. Reminder coming up in just over 4 hours at 10:30, Stephen Pearl will be on Three Man Front. We'll be live at Social Taco in Homewood today, so I hope you can join us, but definitely want to tune in and hear what the head man has to say there about the Auburn basketball program as they get ready to coming off their big win over Florida on the road this weekend, get ready to face Texas tomorrow. But getting into the college football world now, some of the big news from over the weekend that I know made a lot of you very, very happy, and an announcement that you had been waiting on really since the Rose Bowl and Alabama season came to an end and that blowout loss to Indiana. But that was the firing of Chris Kapilovic, who was the offensive line coach for the last 2 years under Kalen DeBoer there with the Crimson Tide, and that was made official over the weekend. And as we now know, and kind of, I guess, over the last couple of days, some names had started to emerge, but one more prominently than others, and we do now know that Adrian Clem will be the new offensive line coach. It's expected at the University of Alabama. Matt Zenitz from 247 was the first to report the news yesterday that this was officially, I guess they were in the final processes of signing a contract and making that move official. But he comes over from USC, where he's been an analyst. He has previously been the offensive line coach for the Oregon Ducks, as well as the New England Patriots a couple years ago. So he is a West Coast guy. He's from California. And a lot of the, I guess, just things that I've read from him or from other people that I guess have worked with him, he is known as a very prominent recruiter. So that's certainly a good thing there. There's a belief that, obviously, him being a West Coast guy, he's from California, but the ties to recruiting in the state of California particularly, that seemed to be very attractive to Kalen DeBoer and the staff, and part of the appeal of bringing him over. But obviously a guy that, as we said, I mean, you got experience in big-time college football at Oregon. You got experience in big-time professional football with the New England Patriots, and now coming to Alabama. Also, from what I understand, him and Courtney Morgan, the general manager, I do believe they have some connections and kind of ties to each other. So there should be some familiarity there with the staff already. But make no doubt about it, if you've been paying attention to the portal, first off, there's a lot of new faces, which I guess after the last couple of years, like, not necessarily a bad thing. But there's a lot of new faces. There's a lot of young guys. And I think that's going to be the question for a lot of people. And I think that's why a lot of people, admittedly, like myself, we're kind of looking for a change at this spot, because there is a lot of potential in that room, it feels like, but you also have a lot of guys that don't have a ton of experience. And so being able to develop them over the spring, the summer, into the fall is going to be key if Alabama wants to return to the playoff next year. And, not saying that Cap couldn't have done it, but again, sometimes you just need not saying he's a bad coach necessarily. It's just sometimes you need a different fit.
Yeah, and I think a lot of the question marks for Alabama's inconsistency started at the offensive line. You just couldn't find a solid five. And again, it's not – it can be scheme, also player. So I think that what you can tell that Alabama's doing is they're addressing needs head on. It's, okay, the five that we have here, or even the guys that are returning, we're not 100% confident in. We need depth, and we need to be able to establish something in the run game, because there are a lot of times where it just felt non-existent. So I think the direction that Alabama's going, it's very similar to Auburn. It's a clean slate. It is. We're getting new bodies in here. We're getting new voices. We're getting new faces. Everything's going to be different up front. But also, and something that we discussed last week on Three Man Front, just kind of talking about just the identity of the run game for Alabama.
Mm-hmm.
Alabama's got to get back to that, because when you look at some of these games that they were in 2025, had you established anything in the run game, you probably change a few results. If you can actually put teams away, if you can chew some clock, if you didn't have to put all the pressure on Ty Simpson to make every single decision, I think Kalen DeBoer probably did a little bit of a self-scout and self-reflection of, you know what, this is where we lost our edge. And I think it starts up front, and it starts with being able to even in the style of football that we play nowadays is completely different. But you still got to impose your will in a run game. Like when it comes down to it, you have got to be able to run the football effectively when needed. And I think Alabama fell victim to that. They couldn't do that in certain situations, especially once the month flipped to November and it started to snowball. It was, okay, a game here against LSU. It's, LSU's playing with house money, fired the coach. But then it started to matriculate into Oklahoma, and then when the rematch against Georgia, and then all the way through where you just were not able to do anything in the run game. But I think that now it is all the chips are on the table of we have got to establish our offensive line. We've got to be able to put teams away in running the football, and I think a new voice and a new sound could help you turn the page.
Yeah, also going to need improvements at the running back spot. I think that goes without saying. I feel like it was kind of a situation last year where neither side really did anybody any favors. Like the offensive line wasn't getting a lot of push, but the running backs also weren't creating anything for themselves. And so they just weren't helping each other. And so you hope that this year maybe they can help each other a little bit, but certainly going to need to improve in both of those spots moving forward offensively. So the last time that Clem was in college when he was at Oregon, that was 2022. He was the offensive line coach and the running game coordinator. So that year, Oregon's offensive line led the nation in fewest sacks allowed. They gave up only 5 sacks in 13 games that year. So that's pretty remarkable there. And then his running attack that year, they averaged 198.6 yards per game, which was 20th best in the country. So certainly a lot better than with the numbers you saw from Alabama this year. So again, not saying that means Alabama's going to be running the ball for 200 yards next season. But again, just for going back and looking at his last experience in college, he was successful. And so we'll see certainly how that works out. And if you're looking for the final kind of puzzle piece here on this whole thing, Adrian Clem, who is expected to be the new offensive line coach at Alabama, he has a son, Jalen Clem, who played offensive line for Washington and Kalen DeBoer.
Ah, makes sense now.
So there you go.
Makes sense now.
So he's
got in good with the player, and also, hey,
got a relationship with the head coach.
Yeah, there you go.
Buddies with the GM. So
yeah,
you can see where the and again, for better or for worse, I know some people maybe not a big fan of it, but Kalen DeBoer, he likes his guys, and he's going to stick with them, and I hope it works out.
So you're telling me he's on a short leash already, Conrad? He just got the job.
I'm just saying, I mean, this was a area that needs to be fixed, and
needs to be fixed immediately.
Well, I guess you can see the perspective of somebody going, well, okay, so you hired this guy because he's a West Coast guy, like you're familiar with him, your GM who you trust is buddies with him, and you think it's going to be a good fit, and then if it turns out to not be a good fit, you could just see where people would have questions of, are you making the best hire for the position, or are you going and hiring your friends or the people that you're most comfortable with, as opposed to maybe the best person for the job. And again, not saying that this guy's not going to do it. I'm just
yeah. No, I get it. It's just
looking into the future a little bit and how people might react if
the moment it starts going downhill.
If it's not an immediate, which it's not going to be, but people are going to probably expect that it's a quick fix.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of moving parts there.
Yeah, but Coach Clem, he's got a nice resume.
He does. Absolutely.
When he started coming out the number, because when he was at Oregon, who his quarterback was, right?
Was that Justin Herbert's last year?
Bo Nix.
Oh, it was Bo Nix.
It was Bo Nix.
You're right.
He kept Bo Nix upright.
He did. Well, he was also pretty mobile, so.
And
that did help.
That helps. And then you look at the quarterback room for Alabama this year.
A little more mobility, maybe.
So, hey. It seems like a perfect fit, man.
I'm sold. Back to the Natty.
Immediately.
But but I know a lot of Alabama fans were waiting on that announcement, and it came over the weekend, and now last night, again, according to Matt Zenitz, the expectation is that Adrian Clem will be the next offensive line coach for the Alabama Crimson Tide. But don't want to leave Auburn fans shorthanded. No coaching staff changes for you right now, but we did have another portal pickup for Auburn that I wanted to mention, just because, again, this was kind of one of those. Again, it's those fun ones of okay, well, let's maybe we'll get something out of this, and it could pay dividends, but at the worst case scenario, it's a depth piece, right? And so over the weekend, Auburn did also make another addition, and former Florida and Bowling Green tight end Arliss Boardingham. It's also just a fun name to say. That's part of why I wanted to bring it up. But he was hurt this past year, so didn't play for Bowling Green, but played 2 years for Florida. And, I mean, not bad. 44 catches, 417 yards, 2 touchdowns in 2 years at Florida. So, I mean, he was on the field. Like, he was contributing. But, again, it seems like one of those, maybe low-risk, high-reward kind of guys for – it's like, all right, you got SEC experience. Obviously, he played as a freshman, like, very early on was able to get on the field. So worst case scenario, he's an extra body, an extra depth piece at tight end. And best case scenario, maybe he turns into, a bit of a weapon after being hurt last year. And it's just another, option you have for Byron Brown in that passing game. So going to be interesting to see how all these pieces come together for Auburn, but they just continue to make additions where necessary. And really still think Alex Golish and that staff doing a really, really nice job with everything that they've done this offseason so far. So that's kind of your Auburn update real quick there. And one last piece of college football news before we move on that I did want to get Damien's thoughts on, because I know he's got a very close personal relationship with this guy. And this just kind of caught me off guard, but I'll be honest, this is not an NFL coach / coordinator that I necessarily think very highly of in terms of his track record. But he is apparently going to be the new offensive coordinator at Ohio State. He was also the former head coach of a somewhat local National Football League organization known as the Tennessee Titans. And that would be Arthur Smith, Damien. I just wanted to get your quick thoughts, because that kind of took me back a little bit this weekend. And, I did not see Arthur Smith going to Ohio State, who, if you are unaware, he was the Steelers' offensive coordinator this year. Now the belief is that he's going to head to Ohio State and take over. And yes, his father is like basically Mr. FedEx. Mm-hmm. And so they've got billions of dollars that could potentially be infused into a athletic department.
Absolutely. And I think this is kind of where it is. Because to be honest, Arthur Smith,
I'm not even talking about the money so much. That's like a side note. It's more so I don't think he fits.
I don't think he fits. I don't think he fits at all, especially not in the college game. I think Ryan Day needs another voice when it comes to certain schematics of the football game. Because one thing Arthur Smith will do is he will find tight ends. Like, he will make the tight end a valuable piece in this offense. And maybe that's kind of one of the things that Ryan Day hadn't really thought about. And he's looking at, this level, somebody that's called plays at the highest level. I just don't know how this is going to work. I think the pieces that you have, of course, I mean, you got Jeremiah Smith. He's the greatest college football player to ever breathe. Some people will tell you that. But I'm not big on Arthur Smith. I mean, I thanked him for his time when he was at Tennessee, but also when the going got tough.
Did you really thank him, or was it more of a
it was more of
happy to see him go?
Yeah, he on to bigger and better things. We weren't exactly, upset when he decided to, take his talents to Atlanta and be the head coach. He brought Marcus Mariota over there with him, which I was perfectly fine with. It just didn't work out. But everywhere he goes, he brings Jonnu Smith, and I don't think Jonnu Smith has any more college eligibility. So I'm interested to see what it's going to look like. But I think on the surface level, it just doesn't seem like a perfect marriage. But again, Ryan Day has made it work with multiple offensive coordinators. And I'm interested to see who is calling plays. Because Arthur Smith is very run on first down, run on second down, throw on third down. Mm-hmm. You pretty much know his script the first 15 plays. Anything after that is just kind of up in the air. But I mean, he comes with a lot of professional experience. I'm interested to see how it works at Ohio State. I don't see their personalities clashing too well when the offense starts to sputter a little bit. I can see some very tough conversations happening mid-game.
Yeah, so that one just kind of surprised me a little bit. So he's been in the NFL for the last 16 years. His last time in college actually was in the SEC in 2010. He was a defensive intern / administrative assistant for the Ole Miss Rebels in 2010. Then spent a long time with the Titans, obviously worked his way up to OC there, became the Falcons head coach. That didn't work out. Became the Steelers' offensive coordinator. I guess that worked out a little bit better. And now he is going to be heading to Ohio State. So a bit of a surprise there. But hey,
Yeah.
look, Ohio State,
They found a way to make it work.
they like having, yeah, they do. And certainly, look, if there's any program that can kind of just roll the ball out there and figure it out, I'm sure they'll be fine. But I mean, hey, look, they brought Chip Kelly in, didn't know how that was going to work, and they won a national championship. So we'll see if Arthur Smith can do the same thing for them. But that's a little bit of your college football news roundup, what was going on over the weekend, some of the big things locally as well as nationally. But do want to get Damien's thoughts as well as mine. Share those on the Super Bowl matchup that we now have. So we had another great weekend of NFL playoff action. And we've also got to cover this. This is the biggest story in the NFL right now. I can't believe this guy made the Pro Bowl. One of the most decorated rookies in NFL history. If you haven't seen this story yet, we'll share it with you next. You don't want to miss it right here on Morning JOX. Welcome back into Morning JOX. Conrad Van Order, Damian Mitchell here with you on a chilly Tuesday across the state of Alabama. Well, with it being cold outside, flu season is still here, so it's the perfect time for you to make your home healthier with Trane's Clean Effects Home Air Cleaner. It removes up to 99.9% of airborne particles, including those causing virus. It's 100 times more effective than standard air filters and 8 times more effective than HEPA room filters. So go find a dealer near you online today at Trane.com. All right. I know the suspense was killing you. The biggest story in the NFL right now. No, it's not the Super Bowl matchup, which we are all very much so looking forward to between the Seahawks and the Patriots. But the best all-star event in all of sports, Damien, as we know, is the Pro Bowl, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Appointment viewing every year.
Every single year.
It's a hot pile of garbage.
Love it.
Hot pile of garbage. And if you needed any further indication that it is the most dead of dead all-star events and just honestly a joke, like Pro Bowl recognition or Pro Bowl, the amount of times you made a Pro Bowl team, that shouldn't be on a resume anymore at this point, in my opinion, because it's just stupid. So in the AFC, quickly, I'm just off the top of my head. Josh Allen.
Yeah,
pretty good.
Pretty good.
Drake May, he's playing in the Super Bowl.
Playing in the Super Bowl.
Let's see, Patrick Mahomes.
I think I
like Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah, he's injured, but he's still one of the best, if not the best.
I like Joe Burrow. He's pretty good.
Pretty good when healthy.
Lamar Jackson.
Oh, amazing. 2-time MVP.
Still not totally sold on him, but Trevor Lawrence is pretty good this year.
I can't stand his guts, but I respect his talent.
Pretty good this year.
Absolutely. Jay Herbo.
Justin Herbert, yeah, thank you.
Pretty good.
I was gonna say Tua, but that would would ruin the narrative we're trying to set up here. Before he got hurt, honestly, like Daniel Jones, he's pretty good.
Oh
this year.
yeah, absolutely.
Daniel Jones was really good this year.
Yeah.
None of them will be representing the AFC at the quarterback position in the Pro Bowl. None of those players that I just listed.
Why not?
Admittedly, some of them, Mahomes, Daniel Jones, they're hurt.
Mm-hmm.
So you had 3 representatives from the AFC. So Drake May,
Super Bowl,
go to the Super Bowl. Josh Allen and Justin Herbert both made the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
Little banged up into the season.
Yeah,
they're done. They're not going to participate in the Pro Bowl. So somehow, apparently, that means that the next person on the list to be included on the Pro Bowl roster for this year was Shadur Sanders.
Who?
Shadur Sanders, the Browns starting quarterback.
Did he start the season as the Browns quarterback?
He did not start the season that way, but he did start their last 7 games.
Okay.
And he did play in 8 total games for the Browns this year.
Lost to the Titans in one of those.
He did. He had 1,400 passing yards, 7 touchdowns, and 10 interceptions.
And that's Pro Bowl numbers. Those are Pro Bowl numbers.
Since 2006, in the last 20 years, Shadur Sanders had a QBR this year of 18.9. In the last 20 years, that is the 5th worst season by an NFL quarterback in the last 20 years, based on QBR.
Mm-hmm.
And he is now going to be a member of the AFC Pro Bowl roster as an alternate because Drake May's going to the Super Bowl. Josh Allen, Justin Herbert are a little banged up. Season's over. They don't want to participate. And so we have now ended up at Shadur Sanders.
The number 1 overall pick of the 2025 draft.
I guess they missed his phone number. They might have had one of the numbers wrong. Sometimes that happens and just can't get connected. And look, again, I understand I'm sure there are certain players that, maybe rejected the opportunity to participate in the Pro Bowl. And it is what it is. First off, that just tells you everything you need to know. Nobody wants to play in it because who cares?
It means nothing.
But just the fact that you have a world where, and again, the quarterback plays in the Super Bowl, they're never going to play in the Pro Bowl. So I'm not going to sit here and try to make that argument. But Trevor Lawrence is a finalist for the MVP award. Now, I kind of think that was a little bit of an overreaction personally, but the NFL is telling you he was one of the 5 best players in the NFL this year, and he's not going to be in the Pro Bowl. Okay, Lamar Jackson maybe didn't have the Ravens were a disappointment this year. He was still pretty damn good a lot of the year. Joe Burrow's not hurt anymore. He came back from that injury.
Right. Yeah.
Looks sharp.
I mean, up until the last 3 weeks of the season, C.J. Stroud was pretty decent.
Bah.
He had better numbers.
Yeah, barely. But yeah. But again, it's just, and it's not. Look, this is not Shedeur Sanders' fault. It's just the system and the way that it works. Like, in what world, again, does a guy that throws for 1,400 yards, 7 touchdowns, and 10 interceptions, you get awarded with a pro? Like, that's supposed to mean something, right? Like, that's supposed to be a, hey, congratulations. You were one of the absolute standout players at your position this year. This is your reward. This is your recognition. Congratulations. That's an honor. It is such a joke.
100%.
It is such a joke. And again, I don't blame this on Shedeur. This is not his fault. But it's kind of embarrassing in my opinion. Like, that's the best representation you can get of the quarterback position. He was probably the worst quarterback in the AFC.
I'm right there with you, brother.
You got 15 other guys that play that position in the same conference.
Right, and especially if you're giving it to a rookie. Like, it in my opinion,
definitely go to Cam Ward over.
That's
Shedeur.
what I'm saying. I'm ready to hear that Cam Ward was called and he declined the invitation to go to the Pro Bowl, because even just amongst the rookies, he was not the best. He's also a 5th round pick. But I'm with you. The NFL, the Pro Bowl is already a sham for the past decade or so. It's just a bunch of guys playing flag football. We had the Pro Bowl games a couple years ago where they're playing dodgeball and all that stuff. I just think that this is a great segue to just say, you know what, we're done with the Pro Bowl. Not even to make it a game or any sort of event. Just say that, hey, you were a Pro Bowl this year, and just keep it going. Give them some sort of trophy or some sort of plaque announcing that they were a Pro Bowl for the season in which they played. But again, when you have more interceptions and touchdowns, that's not a Pro Bowl resume. It's just not. But now, I mean, like you said, I'm not blaming Shedeur. Shedeur is just out here playing. He's out here playing ball. He probably is just as surprised as anybody of, oh, okay, well, yeah, I'll go. Like, yeah, I'll go play. But nah, the NFL, you've got to scrap this. Like, it was fun, even if you just want, like I said, at this point, just send them a plaque. They probably want to get on vacation or stuff anyway, so just send them a plaque or certificate saying that, hey, you were a Pro Bowl this year, and just keep it pushing.
So there are 53 quarterbacks that registered, I guess, enough pass attempts to qualify for QBR and quarterback rating this year. And I'm looking at the list right now. So of the 53, and last was Brandon Allen of the Titans. He attempted 30 passes this entire season.
That's wild.
You also have Trey Lance.
Oh, my gosh.
Brady Cook.
Wow.
Rookie for the Jets. Out of Missouri. You have Aiden O'Connell. He only attempted 20 passes this year for the Raiders. And then you have Shedeur Sanders. The only quarterback in terms of guys that I guess you would say were in the arena of being a star, whatever. He started about half the games, whatever. Well, he's a starter. The only other starting quarterback that was even in the same general conversation as Shedeur in terms of how poor he was statistically was J.J. McCarthy.
Right. He was injured.
And J.J. McCarthy had 11 touchdowns, 12 picks.
Ooh, I know.
And threw for 1,600 yards.
It's Pro Bowl numbers right there, dog.
He should be starting.
Yeah.
Might win MVP with those numbers, but
it's brutal.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I saw that yesterday. I thought that was the biggest joke, and I know a lot of people out there. He got this because of who's daddy. I don't think that has anything to do with him getting a nomination for the Pro Bowl. It's just how messed up the Pro Bowl system is, and the fact that it's such a crappy product that nobody wants to watch it or play in it or vote on it. Probably
right.
It's a disaster. They just need to get rid of it. I don't know how they could ever make it interesting. It's also part of the problem of having an all-star game at the time they do, when guess what? All of the best players don't want to play because their season just ended in heartbreaking fashion in the postseason, or they're playing in the championship.
Yep.
It's called the Super Bowl.
The last thing they want to do is be playing meaningless football.
It's never going to work. And I get it, you can't play in the middle. It's not going to work. It is what it is. We just need to move on. I know the skills thing is maybe more
that's more entertaining. But
I
would much rather I'd much rather just do that. Just have, the quarterback skills competition, have these guys just run around, have some fun. But football is such a physical sport. It is so hard to quote unquote have an all-star game.
Absolutely.
Like it just These guys have already shut it down. Like they're not trying to get ramped back up to go out there and perform at a high level. Now, again, in years past they've done it, but it also took a toll because it was at the end of the season, like at the end of the Super Bowl. After the Super Bowl was the Pro Bowl back in the day. But I think now, I mean, these guys are making millions, almost billions of dollars. Like they are just, you know what, we appreciate it. Like I said, give them a certificate, give them a plaque, give them recognition, and just say, hey, you were selected for this season's Pro Bowl. Thank you. If they want to have a press conference, go ahead and do that. But I think as far as any sort of on-field stuff, this is a perfect way out because now everybody's laughing at the NFL of you're telling us that Shadur Sanders, and again, no disrespect to Shadur, he just went out there and played, but his play was not warranted that of a Pro Bowler. Like it's just not.
No, it's not great. But some of you chiming in with your thoughts, so we'll get to those here. 205-834-9450. Just don't be like this guy who texted in and said, I didn't hear this take from you, Conrad, when Mac Jones made a Pro Bowl his rookie year. Mac Jones won 10 games, led the Patriots to the playoffs, threw for 3,800 yards, 22 touchdowns, and 13 picks. That's why he made a Pro Bowl.
Yeah. Seems
well,
it makes a lot more sense.
Well, checks out. This guy texted in yesterday and said there's no way you guys referred to Sam Darnold as the worst quarterback in a Super Bowl since Nick Foles. He's way better than Drake May. So that kind of tells you everything you need to know about this guy's sports IQ. So if you want to have more intelligent text messages than that, we'd love to hear from you. 205-834-9450. We'll go to the Courtesy GMC text line next.
Welcome back into Morning JOX. Damian Mitchell, Conrad Van Order here with you for a few more moments. As we know, we get you set for McElroy and Kubelik in the morning coming up at the top of the hour. Let me tell you about my friends at Hometown Roofing and Restorations. We know it's getting cold outside, and let's talk about Drip Edge. A little bit of a homeowner's tip. Drip Edge is a thin strip of metal installed along the edges of a roof and the eaves and rakes. Its job is to direct water away from the roof and fascia and into the gutters instead of letting water wick back under the shingles. Here now in 2026, and for the last several years, installing Drip Edge is part of the Home Builder Code. However, if your home was built before 2010, it's likely you don't have Drip Edge. The lack of Drip Edge improves the chances you have rotten or damaged decking around the eaves and rakes of your roof. If your home was built before 2010 and has seen a share of storms, it's time to call Ryan Jennings or Curtis Freeman at Hometown Roofing and Restorations for a free inspections. You can give them a call at 205-984-4777 or visit their website, htroofers.com. Again, it's 205-984-4777 or visit htroofers.com. Hometown Roofing and Restorations, doing it right the first time.
All right, going to wrap up with some of your text here on the Courtesy GMC text line, 205-834-9450. And you know what? I'm sorry. I don't like when I have to get mean or call people out for being stupid. But I'm sorry. If you text in something stupid, we're going to read it and we're going to react to it. And if you want to then respond with how smart you are after making idiotic comments, you're free to do so. Drew from Pinson, though, he texts in. He says, is Auburn in the mix for March Madness this year? Absolutely. Certainly after that win over Florida. I will say maybe, you were looking at some scenarios where it could, it might be on the bubble or things not go your way. But certainly after that win in Florida, I would say you're in a great spot right now. If you're the Auburn Tigers, just got to keep stacking those wins on top of each other. This one says, Darnold will outstat Drake May in the Super Bowl. He very well may. I personally prefer quarterbacks to win the game. But the Seahawks are going to have a great chance. Again, with Sam Darnold, what he's done has been so incredible. It really has, the way that he's turned his career around. It's just like the whole time against the Rams the other night, it was like the Carson Beck thing. Like, you're just sitting there going, eventually he's going to throw an interception, right? And he didn't.
Yeah, he was cooking.
So we'll see if he can do that again. Unlike Carson Beck in the national championship game. Let's see. This one says, it's time to name the Pro Bowl the all-fan favorite team. Fans vote for it, and that's it. No game. Just recognize them at NFL honors. The end.
I'm with you.
Maybe so.
I'm with you.
Maybe so. Well, we appreciate you all chiming in this morning. We're back tomorrow at 6 a.m. Mac and Cube, those guys are up next.